Good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, kings and queens of the land. Good afternoon to the royals. I say salute to the liberated zones in Africa, to the Sahel state. A salute to President Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. Salute to President Assimi Goïta in Mali. Salute to President Abdurrahman Tian in Niger. Salute to them for taking the motherland by force, taking the motherland using the barrel of the gun, and after taking the motherland, um, chasing out the colonizer, pointing them with the same weapon that they have pointed black people when they came into Africa. Salute to the Sahel Lions. Salute to the Sahel Lions. Salute to President Jacob Gedlehle Zuma, the leader of MK Party, the liberated zone in KwaZulu Natal. Salute to President Jacob Gedlehle Zuma and the MK Party. My name is Mngoni Mkhonto, and this is the Royal Opinion. First student in class. Thank you very much for joining. Fanam Laoli. Thank you very much. Uh, you've been not around for many of our classes. But today we're talking about the lion or the elephant, however you want to call him. President Jacob Gedlehle Zuma yesterday celebrated his birthday. Lots of things, lots of comments in actual fact to make about the happening in South Africa at the current moment. Again, my name is Mngoni Mkhonto. This is the Royal Opinion, and if this is your first time here, click the like button and subscribe. President Zuma is here to end politics. President Zuma came to the planet to end politics. He joined the politics in order to end politics. If you want to end the Bible, you need to use the Bible. If you want to end politics, you need to use politics. If you want to end the Bible, you need to uh, join the Christians and understand the Bible. After understanding the Bible is then that you can talk and criticize it from inside. That's what President Zuma is doing. President Zuma wants to end politics in Africa. Ending politics. What is politics? Politics came with the colonizers. In Africa, there were no politics. There were only leaders. Leaders were born from families. Leadership in Africa was not contested because it was every leader was born for the leadership. Um, before the politics came, uh, President Zuma came to end the politics. Floyd Chibambu gave a stand-up lecture yesterday, royal teacher. I was really impressed with it. Yeah, I actually listened to Floyd Chibambu when he was giving the lecture about President Zuma. President Zuma is not known from by many people. Many people don't know President Zuma. Actually, I will share some of the things that Floyd Chibambu was saying in that lecture. Many people don't know President Zuma. President Zuma has been involved in the current happenings across the world. President Zuma is the one who created the BRICS Economic Alliance. He's the one who created BRICS. He went to all the countries and suggested that there should be um, an economic alliance between these countries, between the BRIC countries. They were called BRIC countries, and then they later merged to become BRICS in 2009. When President Zuma took over in South Africa, his focus was to create friendship in the South. South, he wanted to create the South-South cooperation. Let me, or maybe before I share, the ANC is said to be talking, is said to have written the letter. Actually, Floyd Shivambu confirmed that the ANC have written to a letter to the MK party for negotiating that they should be in the GNU. They want the MK party to join the GNU according to the ANC. And according to the ANC, they also want the EFF to join the GNU. Okay, let me explain one thing. The EFF has been part of the GNU. Let us understand that the parliament is a theater in which these people are acting. Nothing is real which is happening in that theater. It's just a theater in which you act to convince people in a particular way. So this is what has been happening. The EFF was kept. If you've been following me since I was on YouTube talking about these issues, you would understand that I'm actually very accurate, and I was accurate, and I continue to be accurate about what is happening. The EFF, I said it before, I said that the EFF will end up joining the GNU. I said it before because the EFF was kept out of the GNU only for the purpose of trying to neutralize the MK party as the only organization which was outside the GNU. The EFF was kept outside of the GNU in order to try and neutralize the MK party outside the GNU, to convince black people that there is another organization, to try and pretend that there is another organization that represents them other than the MK, so that black people may be confused between the EFF and the MK party. Julius Malema has consistently refused the unity of black parties, refusing that he cannot be led by President Zuma. So we all know who he works for. When somebody says they can't work with other black people, but they can work with the Democratic Alliance, because the EFF has been working with the Democratic Alliance, have been voting for the Democratic Alliance to take over municipalities previously. So the EFF has been working with the enemy, but they say they can't work with the MK party, and nobody knows for what reason, because President Zuma has never. Everybody else in the MK party want the EFF to work together, because the EFF has got a lot of members who are supposed to create the majority of the black people which is needed to take over South Africa. This is very serious stuff. The people who are in the EFF are needed to actually take over as black majority in South Africa. So the reason the EFF was kept outside, it was to try and neutralize the MK party, to confuse people so that they can go to the EFF. So that plan has failed decimally. The EFF is becoming like I predicted. I predicted before the elections, immediately the MK party was created, that the EFF will no longer survive and any other organization is going to be consumed through the fire of the MK party. I spoke about this maybe 2 years ago, not even not 2 years, a year ago, when the MK party was created, predicting that all the even suggesting that the EFF should merge itself into the MK party. If you would like to know that, go through the videos. The videos are available where I've been talking about it. So the EFF, uh, majority is actually uh, dwindling into nothingness, while the MK party is growing into massive elephant which cannot be stopped. It's a rolling stone which has been let close from the top of the mountain. It cannot be stopped until it reaches the valley. The MK party cannot be stopped until it achieves its freedom. Why is it that President Zuma is celebrated throughout South Africa? Why is it that President Zuma is celebrated throughout South Africa? They say President Zuma is a regional leader. That's according to the EFF. Before I go in depth into why President Zuma is celebrated by all black people, thank you very much for joining uh, King Victor Shong. Thank you very much. The best SG in the world, in the land, was in his element yesterday, as usual. Thank you very much for joining the class there. So I was still talking about the EFF. I want to talk about what will happen between the EFF and the ANC. The EFF the ANC is pretending to want the MK party to become part of the GNU, which is not true. They don't want the MK party to become part of the GNU. They want to put in the EFF. They want to withdraw the Democratic Alliance from the GNU. They want to withdraw the Democratic Alliance from the GNU. The reason they want to withdraw the Democratic Alliance from the GNU, it is because they want the Democratic Alliance to become the official opposition, so that at least they would try and relegate the MK party, make it irrelevant every time when there are news or whenever they want to ask questions. They will appear, the ANC and the DA. The drama will be played between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, and that will be what will go to the propaganda media stations and try and ignore the MK party, like they always do. Try and ignore President Zuma. People are not the same. People are unique. The ANC has undermined the contribution of President Jacob Gelekisa Zuma. They thought uh, the ANC exists because of itself. They did not know that the ANC exists because of people like President Zuma. People who can keep people together. They did not know. They thought President Zuma is keeping people together because of the ANC. That was the thinking. So now the Democratic Alliance is going to be removed from the GNU. They want to remove the Democratic Alliance and call in the EFF because the EFF has failed decimally to contain the MK party outside the GNU. Now is the time that they apply the second strategy. Now they are exchanging the partners. Now they are exchanging the Democratic Alliance. They are pushing the Democratic Alliance out to go and deal with the MK party and try and make the MK party irrelevant. South Africa has got around about 64 million people. I think 2025 is around 64 million people. White people are around 4.5 million people in South Africa. 60 million people are led by just a little handful of people. How did we surrender our power like that? How did black people s- gave up their life to be led by only a handful of people? To be led astray. If you are led by a handful of people in the right direction, that is okay. But if you are misled by a handful of people, how defeated are we as black people? So the EFF has always been part of the. Why do I talk about the EFF the most? The EFF is the it's one organization which said they coming to liberate black people. Olomisa has never said he wanted to liberate black people. Inkatha Freedom Party, they have never said they want to liberate black people. So they are clear about their support for the white system. The EFF is one organization, I would say, the only organization which pretends to represent black people while it is actually representing the white system. So they are part of the game, the dramas, they are part of the dramas which are getting played uh, in the system. President Zuma is celebrated across Africa. King Victor Shong was saying celebrated and respected in Ghana, Namibia, probably elsewhere. President Zuma is celebrated and respected across Africa. The Secretary General of the MK party has announced that President Zuma will be meeting with the Kingdom of Morocco in order to talk with the Kingdom of Morocco about the dispute they have with them. Um, what we call what is the dispute with them? What? I'll come back to that issue. I actually forgot the place because I was supposed to sometimes I'm supposed to note things down, but it's okay. I'm not noting anything down. I'm just talking straight from the head. So sometimes I forget some of the issues that I'm actually supposed to talk about. So President Zuma, the Democratic Alliance will be, let me say, the Democratic Alliance is going to be part of the GNU. not part of the GNU. The EFF is going to be part of the GNU. The Democratic Alliance will exit the GNU in order to face the MK party outside the GNU. All of this is going to fail. Uh, President Ibrahim Traore has already mentioned that in Burkina Faso or in the Sahel state, they are in a war not against terrorism, but against the colonial masters. They are in a liberation war. In South Africa, President Zuma is pushing that black people would take the land through uh, voting, uh, through proper ways in which the colonizer have approved for us to go through. They say it's democracy that is approved for us to go through that channel in order to take over power. But this has been attempted again and again. But whenever it's attempted, what happens is the colonizer will rob the elections because the colonizer is in control of all the systems. If they fail to rob the elections, they still have the courts to rig the system in one way or another. They have rigged the system openly in front of everybody, and nothing happened. They've bestowed their king, which is Ramaphosa, who is standing there today, even though he failed to win the elections. He did not win the elections. The MK party won the elections. Like we predicted that the MK party was going to win the election. Robertsov characterized the EFF as opportunistic and MK as the real threat. MK is the real threat for white power because MK party is not coming to take uh, the to liberate people from human rights abusers. MK party is coming to revive the culture of black people. The MK party is coming to liberate blackness, not only black people. Like it's coming to liberate, to bring back the culture of black people as before. Is going to liberate black people from politics because the drama that we are watching in parliament, that is politics. So the MK party is not there to play the politics, it's there to liberate black people from the politics, taking power, bringing it back to the people. That is, the politicians are going to become irrelevant very soon. Politicians are going to become irrelevant not so long. Not only politicians, the educated people are going to become irrelevant because of artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence will make it possible for everybody to have a doctor in their hands. You can even buy a robot doctor which is going to operate your heart in the future. Very soon, you'll be able to buy a robot doctor which is going to operate your heart. So those who've got educational power are going to lose the power. Those who've got political power are going to lose their relevance. Those who've got their money power are going to lose their money power because people are going to, money is not going to be, nobody is going to be poor anymore. They won't be able to sustain poverty in Africa anymore. Those who are controlling the world have already lost the war. This is the last I say South Africa, there is going to be an occupation, there will be a war. This war was started by President Zuma when he started BRICS, when he started the de-dollarization project. President Zuma went and convinced all the other presidents in all these four states, China, Brazil, Russia, and India. He actually went in each country when he took over to convince them for de-dollarization, to start the de-dollarization project. That suggestion is the suggestion that has caused the war in Ukraine. Is the same suggestion which is causing the war in the Sahel states. We know America is the one which is creating terrorism, creating the terrorists in other countries. They have confessed to this. Donald Trump has confessed that America has been paying, has created Boko Haram. America has created ISIS. The same people that are pretending to fight is the same people that were created by them. So this will no longer be sustainable. It will not be sustained. President Zuma has started this war. He created the war. South Africa is going to be occupied by white soldiers. I don't think this will be beyond 2026. This thing will have to happen, if not after the 2026 elections, it will happen earlier. South Africa is going to be occupied by white soldiers because South Africa is in a war, last war against colonialism and imperialism. President Zuma is a leader who has been uh, anointed to take black people out of, anointed for this period, to move black people from the shackles, the chains of colonialism, to liberate the consciousness of black people, to liberate the mentality of black people, to restore what has been stolen by the colonial masters and the colonial wars. President Zuma is the first leader to be, for his birthday to be celebrated nationally, organized by the people. President Mandela's birthday has been celebrated nationally, but it was never organized by the people. It was organized by them, and it was organized by the white media and the white people, and strongly canvassed or strongly marketed by the white media to popularize President Mandela. President Zuma is not popularized by the media. The insults that he receives from the white media is terrifying. The amount of the hate speech that white people have drafted against President Zuma in the name of news is terrifying. We really have to measure in gigabytes. how much of falsehood has been taunted about President Zuma. But President Zuma's birthday yesterday, the 12th of April, has been celebrated by all provinces of South Africa. Remember, the MK party does not have leadership in the Cape, meaning in the Northern Cape, in the Eastern Cape, and in the Western Cape. But the MK party or the people have been able to organize themselves to celebrate President Zuma's birthday. President Zuma's birthday has been celebrated in Limpopo, has been celebrated in Pumalanga. People are celebrating President Zuma. The reason people are celebrating President Zuma is because uh, President Zuma has come to save black people from politics. He's not here to support the politics. He's here to end the politics. Yesterday, President Zuma was turning 83 years. President Zuma is going to take over South Africa and lead South Africa uh, at a very old age, which is immaterial. It does not matter which age President Zuma is going to take over, because in Africa, a leader does not cease to be a leader until they die. The king cannot be removed even when he's sick until he dies. A king cannot be replaced while he's still alive. Even if he's too old, somebody may take over the administration of the kingdom, but the king will reign until his death. That's why in KZN, the time in KwaZulu Natal, the time when Shaka was king, when the women decided that they wanted to remove Shaka from the kingdom, they had to eliminate him. Not because they wanted to, because you can't remove a king and put another while the other king is still alive. So President Zuma is going to be the spiritual leader of the last war against colonialism. We are entering the last war against colonialism and imperialism. This is the fall of the white system, the fall of the petrodollar, the fall of the European Union. It's the free fall of the European Union. Uh, King Victor says EFF jumped to join the JNU while SG said the MK is more than capable of taking power through the vote, not invitations to coalition scams. The SG have said of the MK party that they don't need to be invited for power. They will be able to take over power. They have got a strategy which the MK party is implementing to take over power in South Africa. They don't even need the back door that people should be. Let me share what Floyd Shivambu said um, yesterday. Let me share some of what he said yesterday. Interesting times indeed.
Freedom fighter, even as a head of state and government, there have been so many reactionary and counter narratives that wanted to portray President Zuma as incapable, as not knowing what he is doing. And the reason why such was sustained over a long period of time is because President Zuma has never been a project of the white capitalist minority system. There is not a single handler under apartheid, post-apartheid, even when President Zuma was in prison. There is not a single handler who can say that they handled President Zuma and they told them or told him what to do. So all provinces are countering the narrative that seeks to denigrate, that seeks to erode the contribution of President Zuma in the struggles against apartheid colonialism and in the struggle for total emancipation. Comrades, some of us, just in the recent past, are very fortunate to work very closely with President Zuma. Although there is history which we can talk about elsewhere, but one thing that we can confirm, 5 features that define President Zuma, is that one, he is a humble servant of the people. And that is what makes him great. There is no one who can ever rise to greatness unless they are humble. President Zuma is the most humble of leaders. And you see on how he interacts with everyone. Wherever he is, he talks with everyone irrespective of social standing, irrespective of age, irrespective of class, irrespective of religious affiliation, irrespective of whether that person has got money or not. President Zuma listens to each and every person that speaks to him with maximum respect.
No one can dispute this. Even President Zuma's enemies are saying the same thing. Even those who don't love President Zuma, they say President Zuma is the most humble of all leaders. Is the most humble of all leaders in Africa. That's what all the people who knows President Zuma says about him, including his enemies. They cannot dispute the fact that the Secretary General of the MK Party is actually talking about here.
That is a demonstration of humility of President Zuma. Number 2 is that President Zuma is highly knowledgeable. You know, President Zuma is one of the most knowledgeable political leaders. There are so many people who have gone to schools and received certificates who even now do not even have a quarter of the knowledge that President Zuma has about the issues that affect our people. Also about what is happening in the continent. Also about what is happening in the world. He has got a far much better understanding of the global balance of forces than many other people who play a role in those spaces.
Nobody can dispute this. Everybody knows that President Zuma is highly, highly, highly intelligent. The reason we say people are intelligent, it's because of their display of knowledge. So President Zuma is intense. He knows quite a lot. He knows what is happening in the world. The issue of professors and other things. That's why I say professors are will only be relevant to the field. There are different professors. Some are professor of worms, some are professor of fishes, some are professors of DNA. So there are different types of professors. Some are even professors of cats or dogs or animals. So they are only relevant to the dogs. So President Zuma has got an intense knowledge that makes him relevant to all people. When you say they don't even have a quarter of the knowledge that President Zuma has, is modest. These people don't know anything, to tell the truth, about President Zuma. It was getting hot where I am. So they don't know anything about a lot of issues that black people are facing. The professors have got some in some cocoland where they are when they analyze issues, politics. You get shocked at the lack of knowledge from the professors because they tend them as count them as professors, people who are knowledgeable. President Zuma did not go to the formal school, but he has educated himself intensely about important issues that are important to others as well, not only to himself. Most people have knowledge about issues that are totally irrelevant from life. President Zuma has got knowledge about things that are relevant to life and knows who is the oppressor. Let's go on and listen to Floyd Shivamo.
But also President Zuma is very decisive. He takes decisions when he realizes that this is a wrong thing, when he realizes that this is not legitimate, it's not genuine, he takes decisions. He doesn't wait for tomorrow. He takes decisions on things that.
So the first one, President Zuma is a very humble servant of the people. Secondly, President Zuma is highly knowledgeable. Thirdly, President Zuma is decisive because he knows his story. He's able to decide on issues. This cannot be disputed by even the worst of his enemies. These are all clear facts. We're on number 3. Let's continue with the Secretary General. This is the reason why President Zuma is celebrated by black people in South Africa and will soon be celebrated by all black people in Africa and all black people across the world.
Have to protect the interest of the people. The other aspect that defines our president is that he is a revolutionary through and through. He does not sacrifice principle on the altar of political convenience. He doesn't shift because he is speaking to someone else. He is very consistent on revolutionary principles. He is the most consistent, number 5, is the most consistent defender of the Freedom Charter. Not just the defender of the Freedom Charter, but also did everything else in his power, even as head of state and president, to achieve the aims and objectives of the Freedom Charter.
This is this is the reason this is the reason why President Zuma is celebrated across South Africa and will soon be celebrated across the world by black people. President Zuma is a humble leader of the people, highly knowledgeable, decisive leader, consistent. When we say consistency, we mean President Zuma has never changed what he was saying since about the freedom of black people. He has never bitten his tongue when it comes to talking about the issues that are facing black people. President Zuma is the only president in the world to have spent $1 trillion budget in one term on infrastructure. Not in Africa, not only in South Africa, not only in Africa, but across the world. In modern times, or even in history, there's never been any president who went on an infrastructure budget and spent like that. While President Zuma was in power, he implemented black industrialists. He wanted black people to become industrialists. He wanted black people to own industrial companies, manufacturers, manufacturing of steels, manufacturing, mining. He wanted black people to become miners. And he wanted black people to have their land back. He clearly spoke when he was speaking in parliament that he wanted the ANC caucus to unite with any other black party which wants the expropriation of land without compensation by them. But because the ANC has been hijacked, it's a project that has been hijacked. President Zuma could not successfully implement what he wanted to implement in full as the ANC president. When they realized that President Zuma was about to force himself and implement the issues, they removed him from power urgently. As president, he used to sing Tina Sizwe, which tells the oppressor, leave our land alone. Maybe mabaye kumhlaba wethu. Some clever blacks rebuke his song, yet it remains an important issue even today. There's no ANC leader who is able to sing that song except President Zuma. President Zuma was singing the song while while he was president. He sang the song in Nelson Mandela's funeral. Strategically, telling white people that though we are bearing this hero of black people, whatever that black people were fighting for is not achieved up to today. We're still under the colonial hands. Our land is still under the colonial hands. He sang the song Mabawe Gumhlaba Wethu. Even other commentators, journalists were rebuking him that he's not supposed to sing that song because it's not a song of unity. They don't want black children to know that the land is still in the hands of the colonizers. Click the like button and subscribe. If you are here for the first time, click the like button and subscribe. Let's make sure we share the content because otherwise, even YouTube is actually closing down on all channels that has to do with that talks against colonialism or that talks for or on behalf or stands with President Zuma. Anyone who stands with President Zuma will be attacked. Ask uh, Advocate Dalimpofu, ask Advocate Busiswe Mkwebane, ask Advocate Kakane. They will all tell you associating with President Zuma, it's a curse in one way or another because you will not get your white projects if you associate yourself with President Zuma. But President Zuma is going to take over the country. The white system, they are going to try kicking and screaming. They are going to come to war with us to try and because President Zuma will expropriate the land without compensation. So uh, the white people or the white system will not allow that to happen without going to war. So this we are involved in a war, the last war for liberation against colonialism, slavery, imperialism, and dehumanization of the African people. Thank you very much for joining the live stream. This will be the end. Let me just, politics will never be the same with the MK party in the house. Politics has been destroyed. The MK party has come to end politics. The MK party will take over politics, and after taking over politics, destroy the politics and take power and give it to the kingdoms where power has been since before. This is terrifying for the white system because this will make them totally relevant, and the protection that they were enjoying, uh, the power that they were enjoying because of their color of their skin is going to be dissolved. All the chains are going to be let loose. President Zuma is the last leader of politics. He is the one who is going to cross black people from politics to proper leadership, proper African leadership. This is the end of politics as we know them. We will go back to leaders. We will go back to where the kings will be given budgets. Poverty is going to be eliminated across South Africa. Poverty will be eliminated across Africa. President Zuma may end up leading the whole continent. Click the like button and subscribe. And thank you for watching.